And now, up next, Phil teaches us the art of screwing, fiddles with his condoms, and complains about things being too small. Stay tuned for this and more.
Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at this piXL monitor. When I say piXL, it's piXL, not like pixel as in Google Pixel. Okay, the model number is CM24F32I. It's a 24-inch frameless IPS monitor, and it comes with mounting options and HDMI as well as VGA, just in case you have got an older style tower. We have buying links in the description just below. Okay, we're looking at this piXL monitor today. As we've said, it's the Charlie Mike 24 Foxtrot 32 Indigo. So it's a frameless monitor, it's full HD, it's LED screen as well, it's 24-inch and it's an IPS screen, which means it's usually generally high quality. It comes with VGA, HDMI, and it's also got VESA mounting on it as well. The box is pretty generic, to be honest, on all sides. It pretty much says exactly the same things on each side, but it gives you a rough idea from the box. Okay, so this is what's inside the box. So you've got all this stuff inside. So altogether we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 5 plastic bags. Not sure they all needed, to be honest with you. So that cable had one on, that one had one on, each part of the stand had one on, and then there was one over the screen itself. And on top of that there's a plastic film on top of the screen. We'll take that off in a minute and talk about that plastic film. But let's go through all the other bits first. So the least important things are the manual, which pretty much no one's going to read. You know me, I prefer a QR code, so again, if they did implement that instead of a manual, that would be even better. With the cables, you've got HDMI cable, which does have 2 condoms on the end to protect it from God knows what, but it's going to protect it. You've also got the power cable, which will require you to plug in what we call a kettle lead into that for it to get power to the actual screen, plugging in through that. And then you've got the stand. If you notice, there's no screws. The screws are actually inside the stands, so you have to take this rubber bit off the back, which is not easy to do. Here we go, and then you'll find there's a screw inside, little black screw that would then screw into the back of the actual monitor to make a stand, and then you'd have to remove the screw what's on the bottom of there, for example, and position it onto there, and then screw that screw through the bottom, so it equals a stand. The stand itself is metallic, it's not plastic. It's not very heavy, so hopefully it should be okay. It should be able to support the weight. It feels pretty sturdy. Doesn't seem to bend easy at all, so it's got quite a bit of strength behind it, which is good. I'm always wary with screens like these. What I've seen in the past is sometimes these bits do bend a little bit over time and cause the screen to bend forward, but this seems pretty sturdy, so hopefully, all being well, that should be fine. Now let's have a closer look at the monitor itself. Okay, so this is the screen part itself. We'll go through assembly in a few seconds, but it's pretty basic. One thing to notice, there is a little sticker there, but the writing's that small on it. I had to get my camera, take a picture of it, and then enlarge it so I could actually read what it says. But it pretty much says, protective film on screen, please remove before use. Whoever writes these things that small needs shooting, because it's all seriousness. How anyone's supposed to see that, I don't know. Also, regarding the plastic what's covering it, I've got a little white thing here. I've put that there for my own use because there is no little flaps or anything you can peel that off with, so you have to dig your nail or a knife or a screwdriver or something in there to get this little plastic film off, which is a bit of a pain. So I'm just going to peel that off now. There we go, and that's peeled off. And one thing to note, I don't know if you can see at the bottom, but where I've peeled the screen off the front, it's left little bits of plastic along the edge. So you can see there's little bits down here which isn't isn't the best, to be honest with you. It means you've got to go across and clean it. It makes it look a little bit dirty. I'm not sure why that plastic was completely underneath the screen. They should have put the plastic over the top of the bezel and the screen itself. Having it sort of stuck underneath the bezel, it seems a little bit silly to me, and that's not going to come off easy, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's just not rubbing off easy. You're going to have to get a good cloth in there and give it a good rubbing, which is a bit of a pain on a brand new screen. Right, okay, so you've got the logo on the front, piXL, pretty straightforward, and you've got a really narrow, well, they call it frameless, narrow bezel on there, which is, I'd say, what, probably a millimetre or whatever from the edge of the screen. So it's very, very, very narrow as you're pretty much going to get on there. So that's pretty good. Let's move over to the back. Okay, so on the back of the screen you do have two holes here. They look like speakers, but this model does not have speakers in them, so I don't think you're going to put speakers on because, well, you're not. Some holes down here, I'm guessing that's just for ventilation. You've got VESA mounting screws there, the 75mm ones, so basically you can mount this on a stand or however you want to do it. You've also got this metal bit in here, which is where you put the stand, what it comes with. We'll show you how to do that in a second. And then on the bottom, you've got three connections. You've got your HDMI, VGA, as well as your power connector there. And on the bottom, you can see your buttons for your on-screen display. So there is 5 buttons, and they are clicky buttons is probably the best way to put it. And you've also got your Kensington secure lock there as well if you need. Okay, let's show you how to quickly put the stand together. So the basics is you get this piece here and this piece here. This is the front basically of the feet. You get the stand, which has got the, well, let's call it a knob, what's sticking out on it. That needs to face forward, so the same direction as these two feet are. Now you need to screw those together, so you get one of the screws. First of all, it will come with a little black piece of plastic or rubber on the bottom, which stops it slipping around. You take that out, put the screw in, and screw it in. Obviously make sure it's in very tight, but don't overforce it. Otherwise it'll wobble around on your desk. And you will need a Phillips head screwdriver ideally to do that. There we go, so that's in nice and tight. And now the best way to attach this bit here to the back of the monitor is put your monitor face down. Okay, we haven't done, but you should put like a cloth, a clean cloth, will make sure the area you're putting it on is clean when you put the monitor face down, and ideally keep the screen protector on it as well. That stops the screen getting dirty or damaged and scratched. But if you put it over, hanging over the edge of the table, all you have to do then is basically position that straight over, get your other screw, which was hidden inside this area here with a piece of plastic over it, stick it in the hole, and then give it a good screwing. There you go, it doesn't take long, only 30 seconds and your screwing is done. There you go, it's nice and tight and it fits pretty well. So now your screw's in, you can then put the bit of rubber on the end. Yes, you put the rubber on after you've done the screwing, not before. And then you put the bit of rubber on the bottom as well. This will stop it sliding around and it will keep it in. And then you've pretty much done, and this bit will tilt back and forth, as you can see, so you can adjust how the actual screen leans back and forwards. Okay, first of all, we're just going to have a look at the inbuilt on-screen display, or OSD, depending on how you want to call it. To do that, you just press the button under where the M is there, it will pop up, and then it gives you different options, changing the brightness and contrast. Here you can see the brightness is at 80% and the contrast at 75%, so if you want it brighter you can. It's even got eco modes on there, as well as a DCR mode. You can then use the up and down arrows if you wish to change onto the next tab. On there you can change the positioning, you can also change the colour temp on there, as well as your language and everything like that. So you've got quite a few different things on there you can change if you want, and you probably won't change a lot of it in all honesty. You've even got an option to reset everything if you do mess up, and you've even got a black level. The black level is probably the more interesting one I found on there. So if you click the M again, it will take you onto that actual screen, and then you press the down arrow, which is that one there. It will select back level, and then you press that again, and you can adjust the back level, so it doesn't actually make the screen itself dull as such. It basically makes the black itself a lot darker. So in some environments you may find it actually looks better having it a bit lower, around about 40 or even 30%, so it makes the blacks look more black than a little bit washed out grey, so it makes things in some cases look a little bit more vivid if you're especially looking at high contrast things and stuff like that, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward, to be honest with you. And just to show you, if you did want to go onto a higher brightness, let's just turn the brightness up, it will go a little bit higher, not a huge amount, but it does go up, and then you've got your contrast options on there as well. Okay, to give you an idea of the viewing angle, it is actually pretty good. So if I tilt the screen forward, you'll notice that you can still see the picture very clearly on the screen. Same if you go sideways at an angle, you can see it very clearly as well, so that's pretty good. The only catch is, well, there isn't really a catch, is whatever angle I'm standing at, I can see this screen pretty clearly. There doesn't seem to be any problems at all viewing it, no matter what angle. If it's below, side, up, down, whatever you want, it still looks pretty vivid, pretty nice, and the colours don't seem to wash out that much when you go to the sides either. Okay, so we've got this set up out of the box. It is as it comes out of the box, so it's on default brightness, default contrast, default blacks, default everything else. And as you can see here, the greens, the reds, the blues, they're all popping, they're all doing exactly what they should be. And even if I put the cursor over, you can see the whiteness in comparison to the other colours. So it's very vivid, very bright, and that helps with it having that IPS panel on there. It is a frameless design, but saying that, there is probably between the edge of the screen and the actual screen itself, what you can actually see, there is probably about 3 or 4 millimeters. But saying that, that's still pretty narrow in all honesty, especially good if you're getting multiple screens next to each other, so side by side. But as you can see there, the contrast, the colours, all very good. Even if you were going to close this video and go onto your desktop, you can see everything looks very vivid, very bright. As you can see from the previous footage we did a few minutes ago, you can see it from any angle. Whites are whites, blacks are blacks. It's very good, and you can see the whites are really good. But again, you can change the brightness and everything to how you want, but obviously some people don't like it as bright as others. But there you go, out of the box. You don't need to do any playing about. It's basically plug in, play, and away you go.